Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Software Success, where we talk about all things dime embroidery software. As usual, I am so happy to be here with you today. And I see lots of you are already piping in and giving me a shout out. So please do tell me where you're watching from. And again, I'm Ashley Jones from Designs and Machine Embroidery. And you guys know that I love my embroidery software. I use it every single day. Sometimes I use it for things that are not even embroidery related. You guys have seen me do lots of artwork designing in our software. I also use it for planning purposes if I'm trying to figure out how much fabric. I mean, there's so many things that you can use it for that really are unrelated to even embroidery. It's just our sewing and our crafting in general. So I love to share all those things with you and help you learn to love your embroidery software as much as I do. So let's just say hi to a few people, give everybody a couple more minutes to pop in and see who's here. So Anne Philbeck, thank you for watching. She says that's from Rainy, Virginia, but she's not complaining. So that is very nice. And Marianne, thanks for being here, Marianne. Good to see you as well. Eileen, thanks for being here from Dreary, Maryland. So good to see you as well. And then Susan from Hampton, Georgia. She says, beautiful and they're drying out. I sure hope so, Susan. So thank you for being here with us as well. Creative Appliques, you guys know Dawn from Creative Appliques. Thanks for being here, Dawn. And Laura, always great to see you from Lincoln, Nebraska. And she said I'm excited to see what we're going to show today. And I know today's title did not seem very exciting, but trust me, I've got like lots of little other things that we can use in conjunction with this that I think you guys are going to love and learn a lot from the presentation today. So Carolyn, thanks for being here from Arlington, Texas, not too far from our home office. So here at Ann Palmer, thanks for joining. She's just north of me in Homestead, Florida. Rain Wilcoxon of Embroidery Gardens. So good to see you as well. Always good to have all of you here with us. And so, even Ain is joining today. You guys know Ain. She's part of our education team. So thanks for being here, Ain. So good to see you as well. And BJ, thanks for being here. BJ's not too far from me too. So, and at the store that I usually go to and visit as well. So today I am talking about merging designs. We get a lot of questions about how do I bring my designs in the software? And I'm going to also talk save. Since I'm talking about open, I thought save would go with that as well. But then also merging two designs together, like putting them on the same workspace so that you can manipulate them or either merge them together. This little image here is a good example. The little bag, the green bag, is an in the hoop design from Designs and Machine Embroidery from Dime that stitches with a different decoration on it. And I removed that and then I merged, or I brought in on the same work page, another design to put on it to make my little charm bag, they're called, something completely different. We also get the question about fonts. This applies to fonts that you have purchased. So merging designs applies to purchased fonts. A lot of times when you purchase fonts, they come in individual files. So all of the letters of the alphabet, a lot of times numbers and also special characters are all separate files. And if you want to use them to create a word or a saying, then you have to merge and meaning put all of your letters that you want to manipulate onto the workspace altogether. So I'm going to go over that. And I actually have some tips of how to make it quicker and easier for merging when you're working with a lot of letters. So if you have some files from years ago that you purchased fonts, I know I do, but I've recently, I've stopped purchasing them since I have so many options in my software. But you still may have some fonts that you really love and still want to use. So I'm going to share that with you as well. So, so we're talking about, working multiple designs. I'm also going to show you how to bring in a design that is not from our Dime software. We get that question a lot. So I have a couple of designs that are from outside sources that we're also going to work with so that you can see how that works as well. And I'm going to edit one of those so to make it really exciting. Okay, so the cute little bag that is there on the screen, that is actually, if anybody is interested, it is the Stitch Swag Design Collection from Dime. This is a set of files, embroidery files that stitch and create those cute little charm bags that you see there. But look how each one of those in the picture on the right has a little bit different design on the front. So a lot of times if I have one of my favorite designs, I might like to remove that and put something different. So for instance, these examples here, if I wanted to make a little treat bag for a birthday, the balloons would be great. But what about, something that is for Halloween or for Christmas maybe, or maybe another holiday that you celebrate that you want to give a little gift for. So we can edit those. Now, for these to stitch out, just so you're aware, it stitches out flat. So you'll see it on my screen when I open it up. And then you just use a little bit of like fabric glue or either hot glue to fold in and glue the bottom, and of course all the instructions. But I just wanted to show you that so you would understand the file that we're working with, and why it looks like it does. So we're going to replace that and put a different design on the front. But let's head over and talk about how we're going to get these designs into our software and how we can get them on the same workspace. And then I'm going to give you a really cool editing tip as well. So, okay, so I'm in my embroidery tool shed program. And as you guys know, I own all of the pieces of Dime software, and those little icons are down on the right hand side. So every little icon, that is a software that I own from Dime. I can also go to my shopping cart area, the tab down here to the bottom right, and I can see the check marks next to them. Now, I just have my embroidery tool shed set at default because I'm going to be using the file merge option here, and that file merge is actually in all Dime embroidery software other than the free embroidery tool shed. So if you own a program that is anything purchased, then you've got the merge option that we're going to be working with today. So let's talk about getting our designs on the screen. So if I choose File and Open, it opens a new workspace. But if I choose Merge, it merges the design onto the workspace I already have open. So take a look here. You can see I've only got one tab at the very bottom. Mine says Design 11 because I've been working in my software all day and I've, opened and closed a bunch of things, but yours probably will say Design 1 until you save it. So to get a design on the screen, if we choose File and Open, and then we locate the design in our computer. So my designs I store under my C drive and Dime designs. And I am going to go look for that Stitch Swag charm bag. So these are designs that I can select, open, and create this cute little in the hoop bag. Okay, so I'm going to just do the, let's just do the 6x10 one. I think that's a good size. And when you can see that I open it, it brings it in. And this is a design that has this little applique on the front that you can put a little piece of decorative fabric, and I'm just rotating it around. Now I want to do something completely different and merge in a design that I could put in its place. So I'm going to ungroup it. File, or I'm sorry, either ungroup on the toolbar here. You can ungroup your design and group right on the toolbar, or you can right mouse click and group and ungroup as well. And this one says group, so it was actually already ungrouped. Okay. And I can also tell that by over here in my sequence view, I've got the different steps of the design. So I'm going to delete the frame that's on the front just by pressing the delete on my keyboard. And I'm going to do that again here. And I'm going to also remove this line. This is for a little piece of ribbon, and I don't want that. So I'm going to delete that. Now, these here are placement lines, and they're all part of this first color. So I can either select it on the screen and click to delete it, or I could have selected it here in my drop-down list as long as this was expanded. So I'm going to do an undo so we can see that. So you can see how this is all one color. So if I delete that, it's going to delete everything. But if I click the plus and I scroll down through these run stitches, it highlights that area that is that particular run stitch. And so at the bottom, the very last one, I can see that it's highlighting those two things that I want to get rid of. So I can just either click the delete on my keyboard, or I can do a right mouse click and delete there as well. Okay, so now I've got my design. So now let's put another design on top of this one so that we can have this stitch out. Now this is a very easy one. This is going to stitch the entire bag first in your hoop, and then it's going to stitch whatever design you put here. So we don't have to worry about the order, because this one all stitches flat and is really easy, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So I'm going to choose file, and let's do open first, and then I'm going to do merge so we can see the difference. So I'm going to do open for this one, and I'm going to go to my C Dime Designs again, C Dime Designs. And in this list, some of these folders I have created, like the one that says AJ Designs, but some of these are designs that I own from Dime that automatically install here. And one of those is the Perfect Embroidery Pro free design. So if you click on that, if you have any of our Dime software, you'll have these same designs. And you can see these are all numbers, and I don't know what they are. Okay, so if I click my options to view extra large icons, I can see these as little images because I own Perfect Stitch Viewer. Okay, so these are displaying as little images because I own Perfect Stitch Viewer. If you do not own Perfect Stitch Viewer, when you click on any one of these, you can click the preview and you can see that it'll show a little image of that design. So I'm going to go back because it's definitely easier with my Perfect Stitch Viewer, and I can scroll down, and I was just looking for this little jack-o'-lantern design here, and I'm going to click open. Now notice, because I used open, it went to a new workspace. So you can see here that I've got the pumpkin here, and then my little bag is here. Now, it's not the end of the world. I could just take this and copy it, paste it, and then go over here and paste it on my workspace, and then resize it to what I need. Okay, so not the end of the world, right? But I will say that if you use the right tool, so if I do merge, it'll just be a time saver. So if I click merge, it's going to do the same thing. I'm going to just stay in that same folder and then scroll down and look for our little jack-o'-lantern here, and then click it and see how it puts it on the workspace. Now notice it comes in the center of my workspace. So 0 up here at the top and 0 over here on the ruler bar on the left. So it brings it in the center, but then I can click it, hold, and drag and place it wherever I want it. Use the little handles that are around to click and drag to resize it. If you use the corner squares, click, hold, and drag, it'll resize proportionately. And if you use the top, bottom, left, or right, it will resize unproportionately. So, and just depends on what you need. You might need that for your design. Okay, so now this design, once I get it kind of in a position where I want it, I would just need to save this design, head to my embroidery machine, and you're ready to stitch this out. Okay, so to save your design, file, save as, and then make 100% sure that you choose from the drop down list which file format for your embroidery machine. So I usually save to the PES format for my brother or baby lock, but you can also save to Janome, Bernina, Foff, Viking, whichever brand you use, you're going to choose that from the drop down list. Now, I just inserted a USB stick so that I could transport this to my machine. And you can see that it comes up and it has that name. And then all I have to do here is click save, and it's going to save this in my PES format. And it's already got this name, and that's going to be on my USB stick to take to my embroidery machine. Okay. So now if we go to file and open this time, because we're going to open it on a new workspace. And in fact, before I do that, let's close this out. Okay, so I'm going to close this, and we already saved this as our PES file. But if you do want to come back and make edits, it's a good idea to save as your C2S, but I'm going to say no in this example. And then let's open it. File, I'm going to do open instead of merge to bring that in, and then see it went right to my USB drive, and I can click it and click open, and now you can see there's our design. So I would just have to take my USB stick to the embroidery machine, and it's going to stitch the bag first, and all the instructions would be included with the stitch swag, and then it's going to stitch my little jack-o'-lantern design there. Okay. So really easy for merging designs, but I want to show you other ways to bring in designs as well. So I'm going to remove this for now, and let's talk about other ways that you can get designs into your software. So not only can you do file and open or file and merge, there are specialty file types. And we've talked about this a little bit, like if you're doing artwork, so you want to import artwork. So that's a way that you can bring in files that are not stitches, that they're just art files like vector files. And then import bitmap is a way that you can bring in images, and load backdrop is a way that you can bring in a file that you're going to use to design on top of it, just as a backdrop image. You're not going to edit or work with it. So those are different ways to bring files in. Okay, so now we've got our little bag here. So I'm going to go over to the bottom right, that where the little book icon is, and that's our design library. Okay, and I'm going to minimize this for now so that we can see. So this folder right here where it says designs, that is a linked folder to that exact location that we were talking about. So notice in this folder that's called designs, I have the ETS butterfly, the flowers, and then this little yellow flower here. So if I do a right mouse click and say show contents, that's going to open that file folder on my workspace. Now, see Dime Designs up here in the top, you can see that's the location of those designs. And if I scroll down, and I'm going to turn on my large icons, which again, this is because of Perfect Stitch Viewer that I can see it. Do you see how there are those 3 embroidery files that are in that folder? Now, you don't see all these folders in my software because I didn't have it expanded. Okay, so let's head back over and see that example. Okay, so if I expand it, you can see here are all the folder names, and I can click on any of those to select. So maybe you wanted to make a little treat bag for a friend for their birthday, or just a special gift. You could bring in a design that is like this. Okay, so I can click from my library and drag onto the screen. So that's another way to merge design. So I'm going to delete that, and let's go back to the designs folder up top, and you can see I've got the butterfly and the flower, and I'm going to do it again, but with the ETS butterfly. So if you're at home, you can do the same thing. So I just click, drag it onto the screen, and I can just put it wherever I want, you know, kind of in that general vicinity, and release. Notice when we did file merge, it brought it to the very center of my workspace at the 0 and the 0. But when I'm bringing this in from my files or my design library over here in this area, I can just click and drag it, and it's going to put it in that vicinity where I release my mouse. So now that's a little big, so I'm going to remove that and just stick with my butterfly here. Okay, so that's another way to merge designs, is by putting it on the workspace. So now let's talk about if you merge designs and you need to change the order of the stitching. Remember, this one is in a good order because it's just going to stitch flat, and then the butterfly stitching is perfectly fine. So I'm going to open up a new workspace. And a really good example is like an In the Hoop zipper bag. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 files that are not in my library here. And because they're not in my library, I can't access them from by clicking on these folders. So then I would have to use merge. So I'm going to say File and Merge. And I'm going to go to that location. So on desktop, I have a folder called the embroidery designs, and I'm going to use this design here, which is from Urban Threads. And I'm going to use a design that is from Embroidery Gardens, Reen Wilcox and her zipper bags, because the zipper bag is a really good example of having to change the order. Okay, so now my zipper bags from Reen are over here in my library. So I can go to the library. We'll see it both ways. And I can go to the location of my zipper bags. So I'm just going down. I've got a lot of folders. So when I scroll down, I have to go through a lot of different folders to get where I'm going. But I kind of know where things are because I have them a little bit organized. Okay. So I've got her zipper bag set. And I am going to use the stippling one for this example. And I'm going to use a pretty big one. Let's do the 9.5 by 9.5. Okay. So now I'm going to click and drag that onto my workspace. Okay. So I want my sugar skull to go here, and I want it to stitch in the right order. Now, first I'm going to rotate my bag around, and that way I've got it in the right order. And I'm going to automatically just say send to back because I know that my sugar skull is going to stitch on top of that, right? Okay, now this design, both of these designs are not from Dime, okay? This zipper bag is thanks to Reen Wilcoxon of Embroidery Gardens. That's one of her design collections. And then this is an Urban Thread Designs. Now, notice it won't fit. I could resize it because the software does recalculate stitches, but I want to show you something else. So let's talk editing this design. Okay, so I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm going to remove the roses and just leave the sugar skull. So I'm going to go over here to my sequence view, and I'm going to click each of these colorways that I don't want. Okay. And I can actually select several at one time by holding down my control key and pressing delete. Now, notice here the rose stem that's going through the teeth here. And I also want to remove that. So over here in my settings, it is actually a separate color down here. So I can just press the delete on the keyboard. But look what happens. Okay, so you guys are going to love this. I get this question all the time. Look at those holes in my design. This is an embroidery design from another company, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. Okay, one of the keys is to make sure under your tools and general options, I think it is, see this checkbox here? It says convert to outlines on loading stitch designs. That outline is a wireframe that actually makes the stitch regeneration work better when you're resizing. So for what I'm about to show you, you'll have to have this checked in your software. Convert to outlines when loading stitch designs. Okay, that was under my general options and environment. Okay, so mine's already checked. Now I'm going to choose my shape tool, and I'm going to zoom in even more. And the shape tool will let me move points here, but I'm going to turn off my 3D so we can see these lines a little bit better. So do you see those yellow lines? Those are my angle lines. So the first thing I click, you can see that it's my angle line that it's moving, whereas I need to get to these nodes right here. Okay, so I'm going to do an undo and show you how you can hide those. So if you do a right mouse click while you're in the shape tool on any of these points, and you can see that we've got add and delete angle lines, and we also have edit. So if I just say all I want to edit are the outline, it'll take all those extra lines away so I can just see my points. Now watch this. So because my software generated this outline for me on a purchased design, I can then move these outline points. And when I hit the enter on my keyboard, look how it regenerates my stitches. And let's turn on the 3D here. Isn't that cool? So I can fill those holes. And the same is true here. We've got like in the fill stitches of this design, you might need to fill this in because these were a little bit further out too because of that rose stem. It's just so you don't have that bulk of the design on top of each other. So I actually regenerated those fill stitches too. So let me undo and I'll do that again. Okay, so these are fill stitches and you can see the points there, the nodes. And let me do a redo and put this back. And then I'm going to turn off my 3D again. So do you see those nodes? Now we can't hardly see our stitches, but what I'm wanting to move, I'm going to move that angle line out of the way. And I want to move this point over. And then the same is true here. I just move that angle line out of the way and then I can move this one over. And then when I hit enter on my keyboard or either right mouse click and update path, it will regenerate those stitches. Let's turn on the preview so we can see it. You can see it's filled in there. So that's a really good tip. Now to do that, you do need the shape tool. And I've got the list of programs. The shape tool is in Perfect Embroidery Pro, My Quilt Embellisher, My Block Piecer, Cut and Stitch, and SFX. And I've got my list over here that I'll show you as well. So let's zoom in over here. So this side, the fill stitches, I don't have any holes. So I'm going to go back to my shape tool and select my black satin stitch here. And then I'm going to turn off that 3D again, just so we can see it. Now, remember, the first thing it wants when I hover over it, it turns red for the dot. That's my stop point, and I want that to remain at the end. So I can either move this out of the way so that I can get to these nodes, or I'm going to do an undo and put it back. Or I can do a right mouse click and under edit, I can just say, all I want to see is the outline. And now I'm going to drag this up, drag that up so that it meets my other satin stitches. And then I'm going to do a right mouse click and you can see it regenerated those stitches. Now I went a little bit over, so I had some overlap so that I didn't have a gap in my stitches there from like my fabric or the push pull of the thread and everything. So there is my corrected design. Okay, so let's group that together so I don't lose it. And then let's talk about putting it in the right order over here. So I'm going to put this into position. And one way to figure out if you're centered is that you can select your item, say right mouse click over on the ruler bar here. So do a right mouse click and say center origin. That puts everything at 0. And then if I select the sugar skull and do the right thing, center origin, you can see that it puts it right in the center. But now I need to move this down. So I'm going to select just that sugar skull and I'm going to use the arrows on my keyboard with my control key and the shift key held down, control and shift, and then I can move that up and down. Okay, so then now I think that looks good. But we do need to have this stitch in the right order. So this is very important when you're merging designs, if you are combining them, making sure the stitch order is correct. So I'm going to ungroup the bag, the zipper bag there, so that I can get to the different parts. Now, one thing about having the zipper bag, I ungrouped the wrong thing, so I'm going to do my undo key. Look at that. And so my zipper bag needs to stitch first, so I just click and drag that, or either click send to back. I accidentally moved it. And then I want to select the zipper bag and then click the ungroup option. Okay, so now one of the reasons that I chose the stippling one is because that kind of gives me a clue as to where to stitch the sugar skull. So I can just click that group design and hold it, and then I'm going to drag it and release it right on top of the stippling layer, and then it will put it right after my stippling. If you don't want the stippling at this point, my sugar skull's in the right place, I could just delete the stippling and just have that stitched out. Okay. And so that's another really good example of merging designs on the screen, and then also being able to edit the design. So, and that I think is something that I use a lot, is being able to edit my design, and my shape tool is something that I do definitely use a ton. Now, I also want to talk to you about purchased fonts. So if you have ever purchased fonts from someone outside, like a third party or your favorite designer that come in individual files. So let's answer some questions and then I'll show you how to merge those and get them quickly lined up for using those files. So let's see if we have any questions here. So BJ says, I missed what you said about the settings. So what that you had to make sure that was checked. So in your general options, which is under the tools, general options, the environment tab, there is an option that says convert to outline on loading the design. And that's what you want to make sure that has checked, because what that does is it automatically puts like an outline around every area, every stitch area. So when you're editing it, you already have that outline there that you can just easily adjust to do what I just did. So I'll whenever we go back over there, I'll show you those settings over there again. And then Wendy says, where's the list of programs that have the shape tool? So the shape tool is I've got a list that I'll show you when I go back. It's in Perfect Embroidery Pro, My Quilt Embellisher, My Block Piecer, Cut and Stitch, and Special FX. So that is a great tool, and I use it all the time, all the time. And so JC Production, so a subscription model of the software. Furthermore, I would appreciate it if you could inform me about any authorized dime dealer in Miami area. And so so JC Productions, our software is not subscription. When you purchase it, you get the full version that you'll install on your desktop. It's not a subscription, and it's not web based. So very good question. To locate a dime dealer on our website, dzgns.com, there is a dealer locator. So you can click to select your area, and then you'll know. So when I go back over, I'll show you that as well. That's another really great question. So, and then JC Production also said, I know that there's a demo version where we can try the software, but I wanted to know if we could do an actual stitch out. So with the demo version, you cannot save it. So you can't do an actual stitch out from the demo version. So only paid versions, something that you create and you can be able to save to your stitch file format. So, and then Catherine says, I was wondering if Ashley picked the line on the side of the pumpkin and centering it would be in the center of the panel. So the center, yes, if I had used the center tool, if I had selected everything and centered, it would have centered it, yes, between the entire design. So I put it in the center of the particular panel that I wanted. So that's a really good question there. And you can use the shapes and things around your design to help you get that lined up. And I'll show you on that bag, I'll show you that example again for lining that up. So, and then Laura says, besides fabric, what do we use for stiffness? How about stiffy? So Laura, in those charm bags, the instructions actually use a heavy or a medium cutaway stabilizer. So if you just sandwich your fabric, because the instructions are written for quilting cotton, sorry, got tongue tied there, for quilting cotton, which doesn't have a lot of body. And so we just sandwich the heavy stabilizer between the cutaway, and then you're just cutting the edges away, and so it's a nice clean cut. Or you could also use, like, felt works well, HTV, the heat transfer vinyl. I did fuse that onto my fabric, and it adds stiffness as well. You could also use like a maybe a Pellon product that adds some stiffness to it as well. So that's another option there. Okay, so Cora says on the screen, the option are okay. So we just answered that because I read her option after, or her message after. So I will show you about my tips for centering that up whenever I go over to the software again. So I was just looking to see if there were any other questions. So Mickey says, are there some outside designs that you can't resize? So yes, resizing designs, the designer that you get the design from will give you any recommendations for resizing. So for instance, I know that Mylar embroidery designs from Purely Gates, they don't recommend you resizing those designs because she manually places every single stitch for those. And then some run stitch designs, some designers recommend not doing it more than like 10% because it doesn't regenerate the space between the run stitch designs that are for quilting. It just regenerates like the actual stitch length. So pay attention to the designer's recommendation when you're resizing. And if you really, really, really want to resize, try it. Watch what happens on screen. Some designs, when you resize, you can visibly tell on screen that it did not work well. And then some designs uh, do work okay, and you could always test stitch them to make sure that that does stitch really well. So, and then Marcy says, I have not been able to bring in purchase designs from my docs folder. So, where I download my purchases on my computer, I have to save them in a USB stick on my Mac, and then I can open them on my PC. So, the location on the Mac, when you install the translator on your Mac, Marcy or Marcia, the translator puts a folder path that is under your user folder, and it is the looks like the windows. It's C Dime Designs, and you can put things in there to be able to open them in your software, or double clicking them to open them in your software too on your Mac. So whenever I go over, I'll show you how to find that folder easily. I hope I remember all these things. You guys might have to tell me again if I don't remember all of them. And so, so I'll try to show you that when I go over too. So, and then Paula says, Control plus Shift does not seem to work. Function nudge on the Mac. Yes, I have reported that, and I haven't heard any update, but the Control Shift arrow key does work on Mac. I did test that. It's just the control and arrow key, but I did report that. So hopefully we'll get some information on that soon. So, and then Nan says, is the tool shed with the programs purchased able to be put on more than one computer? Yes, you can put your software programs on two computers. So you just need to contact customer support and ask for another activation, and you can install it on a second computer that you own. Okay, so let's head back over and I'll answer some of those questions, and then we'll go over the fonts as well. Okay, so I'm going to close this out and we go back in here. So under the tools and general options, the convert to outline option is what you want to make sure is checked, and that's under the environment tab in your options. Okay, so that is one thing there. And then as far as the Mac user, locating that folder. So, and this is actually true for Mac or PC users. So everybody pay attention right here. So if you want to go to the location of this folder right here, if you right mouse click and say show contents, it opens the location of that folder. And I can see the path here on Windows, and you'll be able to see on your Mac computer the path in Finder. So you can do a right mouse click and show contents. And that actually works on any of these folders. If I go here and click on the folder that I have named for my events, right mouse click, show contents, it opens the folder and goes right to that folder structure there. So it's an easy way to get right to your designs. Now, what if there's a design in here that I want to open? Do I have to then go back to my software and say file open or get it from here? No, if you say file, or if you click here, right mouse click and say show contents, and say that this is the file that you found that you wanted to open, you just click it or double click it and it'll open it up in your software. Now that acts like an open. That means it's going to go on a different page. You can see here it's got a different tab at the bottom. But if you want to put it on the same page you were working on, you could just copy it and paste it. Okay, so when you double click on it from your file explorer, it's going to open it. So we'll put it on a new workspace. You can also click and drag it to your software, and when you release, it will open it as well. But it does, again, open it, so it puts it on another workspace. Okay, so that's many different ways for you to open your files into the software. So now let's talk about what did I say I was going to do over here? All of those questions. So if I forget something, you got to remind me. Okay, so the letters, we were going to talk about that. So let's talk about aligning if you have fonts that you purchased from an outside source. Okay, so now if I go to File and Merge, and I locate the folder with my fonts. So like I said, I don't really purchase fonts anymore, but I used to before I had this software. And so I'm just going to go to one of the fonts that I purchased a long time ago. And please don't ask me where it came from because I don't even remember where most of these came from. And you can see here that every single file is a different, every single letter, number, upper, lowercase, it's a different file. So if I want to write text, I have to select and say open, file, merge, and then select the next one. I'm just going to say hello here. And I'm going to give you a tip for align it. Notice it comes in at 0. It comes in the center of my workspace. And I just remembered the other thing I was going to show you, which had to do with aligning. So let me finish this and I'll show you that. And then I'm going to do merge again. And I have to go back and get the L and the L and the O. Okay. So here's my, not I. Keep going. There's my L. And then I could either go back and get the second L or I could just copy and paste this one. So I'm just going to say copy, paste, and then there's my second L for hello. And then let's get one more letter here to make, let's make a word. We don't want to leave it at that word for sure. And so I can't talk and think either. Can't talk and say my alphabet. So there's my O. Okay, so I've got all of my letters in. Now, I know that that's tedious, but this is, there's a couple of other things that you could do, and I'll talk to you about. And now what I can do is I can select everything, and I can use my alignment tools. So I can say bottom align, and I can use the evenly distribute too to make sure that everything is spaced out nicely. So when I bring every letter onto the screen, I get 2 clicks and I've got everything lined up. Bottom align for this particular one, and then I did the center align. Now, if you want to access them from this library over here, and I'm going to click right here, you see my double arrow, and I'm going to drag this taller just so I can see more letters. And I'm going to go to my files. So if you store them under your C Dime Designs, that is this folder right here. So it links inside of your software. And to me, this makes it a little bit easier and quicker. So I'm going to go to that same font, and I'm going to scroll down and find my letters. I do still have to grab them individually, but I can do this much quicker because I don't have to keep doing open. So there's my E, and I'm going to go down and get my L and my O as well. Okay. And so I'm going to do L, L, and my O. Okay. And remember, that's the big O. Sorry, that's the capital letter. So let's delete that one and then get the smaller one. So remember, see how when I drag these in, they're not all at the 0. And so if I put a distance between the first and the last letter like this, and I select everything. Okay. So I'm going to drag a box around everything. I can click 2 things, my alignment tool, bottom align, and evenly distribute, and it spaces everything out for me. There's a little bit of overlap here, so I might give myself a smidge more room and then just select everything and evenly distribute, and then I've got a little more space there. Okay. So to me, if you have purchased fonts, this is the easiest way to bring them in without mapping them to your keyboard strokes. Okay. And what I mean by that is in 2 of our programs, we have a tool called Font Editor. Font Editor allows you to create a new font. And I'm going to call this, I think it was called Nelly anyway. So I'm just call it Nelly. And this is a stitched file. And then I'm going to go and locate that same folder. Okay. And it looks like there's nothing in it, but there is. This is this folder where I needed to be. That was the name of my font there. So I'm just going to go back, make sure I have it right to my font. Scroll down, scroll down. So here, and I click select folder, and then I'm going to click OK. And then right mouse click each letter to import the font. So now what I can do is I can right mouse click and say import, and then it wants me to click on the file that corresponds to that. So that's the uppercase A, and I'm going to say open, and then I'm going to right mouse click and say import, and then I'm going to go and locate the B. Now I know this seems tedious, But once you do it once, then you could actually type these letters on the screen. So I could put all of this stuff in. Let me put the M in here too, because the M is the reference letter. So if you stop and you want to play with it, you need to have the reference letter in place. That's usually the one for the width. And so I'm going to go and select the M and click open. So now I only have 3 letters mapped to my keyboard, but I can at least show you, how that works. So when I click save, it saves that font as a keyboard font. Okay. Now this feature that I'm showing you now is only in Perfect Embroidery Pro and Word Art and Stitches. Font editor only in Perfect Embroidery Pro and Word Art and Stitches, but bringing it in from the library that we just did for this hello, that is in every program. So you can use that no matter which dime software you have. Okay. So now I don't know if this is going to show up. I may have to reboot. And so let's go up here and look for a font name that was Nelly. There it is. Okay. And so now remember, I didn't do every letter because I don't want you guys to have to watch that. But if I just type on my keyboard, A, B, and we had an M, and I'm just going to type those letters like that and click apply, you can see that it brought them in and spaced them, and I was able to type it on my keyboard. Okay. So tools, font editor. This is only in Perfect Embroidery Pro and Word Art and Stitches. That's for mapping fonts to your keyboard strokes. Okay. If you don't have font editor, I would put them like here under my C dime design folder so that you can just click and bring in the letters that you need. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Now, before we go and answer those questions, I remembered one of the other things I was supposed to show, and that was the centering option over here. So I'm going to select my bag and group it together so that we can see this. So now if I select everything and I use my centering option, like was stated, the centering option is going to they're going to center it on the whole design, whereas I wanted it over here. So here's a couple of things that I would do to help get this centered. So you could physically measure, if you really want to be particular, you could use your ruler tool and you could click from here to here to figure out the size of that. So that's 3.13. You could divide that in half and then use a one of your ruler guides, which is these like these blue outlines here, these blue lines. So I'm going to do an undo to take that away. So the way you get those ruler guides is you click on your ruler bar, either the left or the top, and you drag that while you're holding. So click, hold, drag, and it'll bring out this little ruler bar. So if you wanted to measure and get it spot on, then you could use that to center your design. You can see that the nodes around my design, I can tell which way is center here and here. And so that's one way to get it aligned. I would just eyeball this. Your design is not perfectly square here with our butterfly. So if you were a smidge off, you wouldn't have noticed anyway. So, but that's why I didn't just use the center tool, because like it was responded, it would have centered it right here, kind of on that side panel. So hopefully that helps. And so let's see if we have any questions before we go. And then I'll show you where to find that dealer dime locator in just a bit too. So, but let's see if we have any questions. So, and then Cora says exactly what I need to see the lines for the file. So you're very welcome, Cora. I'm glad that I could help. So I love these lessons. And then Jennifer Alexander, thank you for being here. You are always a great supporter. She said, what dime program does have the alignment tools? I don't believe I have the evenly distribute button. And so evenly distribute, let me head over to my PowerPoint here. The evenly distribute is in the Embroidery Toolshed Plus, Perfect Embroidery Pro, and Cut and Stitch and Special FX. So if you don't have them on your toolbar, look under your right mouse click menu and then or either change to make one of those programs default. Because Jennifer, I thought you had at least one of those. And so, but double check. So Embroidery Toolshed Plus, Perfect Embroidery Pro, cut and stitch and special FX have the evenly distribute? So really good question. And then Jennifer also says, definitely going to have to watch this video again with my software open. Great, great. So I'm glad to hear that. And then Anne commented and said, I've been busy all summer, but how do I start watching all of the past videos and play with the software? So, and now she can start watching. Yes, absolutely. So it's a great time, especially when we're getting ready to start kind of doing some of our testing for the season as well, or some of our stitching for the holiday season as well. So, and JC Productions says, a dime and many other software, do you feel that your auto digitizing AI tool are going to be better refined? How now due to artificial intelligence getting better in the industry? And so our auto digitizing tool, it really, just like everybody's auto digitizing tool, it's going to do the best job when you have the best artwork. So auto digitizing starts from artwork and converts to embroidery. So when you start with a really good artwork, it's going to give you better results. But even if you don't get the results you want, you can certainly change it when it gets on screen in our Dime software. So it's super easy to do, to make corrections. But I will have to say, not all AI artwork is great to digitize, because sometimes it has a ton of shading and a lot of little elements that you may not even want. So make sure that you keep that into take that into consideration when you're choosing your design. So okay, and for the dealer locator, which I think this is really good for everyone, on our website, DZGNS, so it's short for designs. And I think our dealer locator is at the very bottom. So if you scroll all the way down, it says dealer locator. If you click there, and then you can enter your zip code and search different areas to figure out where your nearest dime dealer is. So if I go back to the main page, whoops, I zoomed way out. So let me zoom back in. You're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it's dealer locator. And when you click that, you'll be able to put in your information to locate the nearest dime dealer. So hopefully I got all of your questions. So let's see if there's any last things before we go. Jennifer, I'm so surprised. I really thought that you had one of those. I'm sorry that I misspoke. So, but yes, evenly distribute. Now, as you know, if you don't have evenly distribute, then you can space things out. Use your grid. You don't have to have that tool. Use your grid, turn your grid on, and you can use that for spacing things out as well. Is another really great way to make sure everything is nice and straight. So, okay, so I don't see any more questions at the moment. And so if you do have a question, then certainly make sure you find us over on our Facebook user group called Dime Inspiration Software Users. That user group, you can join and ask any questions over there. I'm over there, and we have also lots of knowledgeable users, as well as the rest of our education team answers questions there as well. So, okay, so while we're here, let me just show you what we talked about today. So we did file merge to put a design on the same workspace. That's in every program that we have except for the free embroidery toolshed. The library down to the bottom right, everybody, even the free embroidery toolshed, can use that library the same exact way that I showed today, where you're merging in designs onto your workspace. And then also you could see that my design library also showed the little images of the design, which makes it easy to select them. The alignment tool, so we're talking bottom align, top align, center align, left, right align, is in every Dime software except for the free version. Ungroup, that's what I use to ungroup those designs so that I could edit it and delete parts and pieces. So if you ungroup, that is in all of our Dime software except for the free embroidery toolshed. The built-in fonts. Now you can use the fonts that you purchase outside of our software, but we do have built-in fonts, and those are the programs that have built-in fonts. But the fonts, bringing those in and evenly distribute, that's in those 4 programs there: Embroidery Toolshed Plus, Perfect Embroidery Pro, Cut and Stitch, and Special FX. And then the shape tool is what I used to regenerate, so to speak, that satin stitch that was broken in that sugar skull example that I edited. So the shape tool I use a ton for editing and manipulating my designs, and it is in Perfect Embroidery Pro, my Quilt Embellisher, my Block Piecer, Cut and Stitch, and Special FX embroidery as well. So, and I think that was all the things. The font editor, that's the only thing that I didn't list here. That is in Perfect Embroidery Pro and Word Art and Stitches. So font editor where you can map keyboard fonts, map fonts to keyboard strokes. So that's in Perfect Embroidery Pro and Word Art and Stitches. Okay, so this week, on Thursday, remember, Dime has 2 live. We do Software Success, which you guys are at right now, but then we have Between Friends every Thursday. This Thursday, you guys should really join on the Thursday one because it is Reen Wilcoxon and myself. Reen created this really cute quilt here, and she used features from our Dime software. So you will see Dime software techniques in this presentation as well. And then we're also going to talk about stitching this out and using that fun cuddle, which you might also know as minky type fabric to make this cute, adorable quilt. So this Thursday, join me and Reen on our Dime YouTube channel or Facebook page. Search Designs and Machine Embroidery. And we're going to talk about making that quilt in software and stitching it out. And then in 2 weeks, the next software specific lesson is going to be on fringe embroidery. And I'm actually going to do a part 1 and a part 2. You'll see me twice that week too. October, you're going to get too much Ashley time, I think. So that week, you'll also see me on Tuesday for Software Success, and you'll see me that Thursday for Between Friends as well. So I'm going to do a 2-part where I do fringe embroidery in the software and creating it and, how to work with it and even how to create it from scratch if you don't have a one-click option. And I am going to stitch it out, and we're going to talk about tips for stitching it and see some different design ideas on that Thursday. So join me back here for Software Success on October the 15th. So I will see you guys a lot this month. So I can't wait. And I think that we're going to have lots of fun together. And then Dawn says, never too much, Ashley. Thank you, Dawn. You're so sweet. And so I can't wait. And then Marianne said the same thing. You guys are too kind. And Reen, I agree. Reen rocks. Her quilt idea is just phenomenal. So definitely join and see how to make that. And I agree, Carolyn, it's going to be a fun one. So, all right, guys, if you do not have a local dealer, as you know, you certainly can buy any of our Dime software from our website, but I always urge you to support local. Go to that dealer locator that I just showed and find your local dealer. Purchase for them, because not only do you have all the free education from Dime, but purchasing from a local dealer gives you another avenue for help to be able to walk into your local store. So take advantage of that. So, okay, guys, until I see you again for Software Success, or maybe you'll join me on Between Friends, I'm going to say bye for now and thank you all for being here.